Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, your boy TPT, coming at you not live and not from Twitch TV. I hope you all having a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. Today, we are going to be doing another one of our Europa Universalis 4 empires. So, in this particular one, we are going to be covering our Spanish achievement run for Golden Century, as well as just a couple others. So, this was obviously the primary one that we started off going for, but we did pick up a couple others along the way. I did also particularly want to get No Country for Old Tercios, as that one is specifically Spanish, but these other two just just happened to be coincidentally along the way. So we did start off as Castile in this particular achievement run. The reason being is obviously Castile does start off in the strongest position and the closest to forming Spain, which is naturally what we need to do. There is also, you can also do it as Aragon, provided that you have the domination DLC, because importantly, the Aragonese mission trees from the Golden Century do not work for this achievement. It is only the domination achievements. The domination missions. Apologies. The domination missions are the ones that you require. The Golden Century missions would not work for, if you're Aragonese, it would have to be Castilian. You also can't be Catalan either, so no doing it as Navarra, guys. Sorry to say. Anyway, we led off with a pretty strong opener here, annexing part of Aragon. The reason for that is because I actually haven't played Spain in Spain in a while, and I forgot about the Isabella event. And given that both of our kings were pretty young and they were both male, I figured, maybe I won't be able to get it this time around because we have different genders. So that's okay. I'll just eat them instead. In my defense, France did also definitely want a piece of Aragon. So I did also feel like it was a little necessary to be able to eat them first to make sure that France didn't get them, as I was allied at the time and I, obviously preferred not to fight France, at least this early on. As you saw, I'm sure, judging by the fact that you can see this little one down here, we did end up doing it. So, but not before it was absolutely necessary. But what we've been doing here is we did get a personal union over Portugal using the mission tree. Because once you own, or a subject owns all of Aragon, you get a restoration of Union CB for 25 years on Portugal, which is perfect. Because we made the absolute most of that, given that Portugal is a big colonizer as well too. And so because of that, they are able to, colonize quite a lot of the New World for us. So you'll see here that we have been grabbing a lot of the New World, going for Mexico, but of course sharing it with Portugal. The reason for that is because what I did was I split up some of the larger regions which are more likely to get Liberty Desire later on in the game. So those particular ones are specifically Mexico and the 13 colonies region, like the Eastern America. Those ones always get very high Liberty Desire, just because they're very, very powerful, rich regions. And so because of that, I made the most of having Portugal as a personal union to give them those parts of those regions to form their own colonies with. The reason I can do that is because when I annex them from the personal union, their colonies become mine. I actually inherit their colonies. And so because of that, it also essentially doubles the maximum number of colonies that I can have, which not only reduces the Liberty Desire from them, again, as you can see, still feeding both Mexico and New Spain, to keep them trying even. And then I do obviously have some pretty large wars with England here as well too. You'll see a big chunk of this goes to Portugal before it formed the colony. And then, yep, there it is right there. Big chunk to Portugal. But I also obviously was getting a foothold into the British mainland, because you do need to take quite a significant chunk of Britain in your mission tree, which obviously you'll be able to see shortly. On top of that, once I conquered this part of Italy, as well as Naples, I also got a restoration of Union CB on Austria as well too. So by this point, Austria is also our subject. I did finally end up eating Portugal in order to be able to inherit their colonies. Once we'd obviously finished colonizing pretty much all of the New World. Again, wait till after you finish colonizing, because obviously that way it gives as good of a chance as possible for you to get as much as possible. Given that, it's a lot easier to colonize all this with about 6 to 8 colonists than it is with just the 4 that I had. So don't be quick to annex them, but you do eventually want to annex them, because their colonial nations don't count for provinces being owned by you or a subject when you are completing your missions. So a subject of a subject, or specifically a colonial nation of a subject, did not count for those missions. So around this time, I was also eating the lowlands, which was necessary because, again, needed it for a mission. This obviously gave me an incredibly large amount of aggressive expansion in the Holy Roman Empire, but I simply decided if the Holy Roman Empire is going to try and coalition me, I'm simply going to make sure there is no longer a Holy Roman Empire, because that is also partially a requirement for the missions. That being said, you can either become the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire or simply ensure that there is no Holy Roman Empire. And at this point in the game, well, obviously it was a little while ago, but I simply decided that the empire is neither holy nor Roman, and thus it should cease to exist. So, just looking through our tabs, obviously we've got max crown land as always, just giving off the land rights and the primacy, and the admin, mill, and dip points, as well as the 3 governing capacity modifiers, because we do use quite a lot of governing capacity. Even with all of our town halls and our courthouses. I actually haven't done town halls yet, sorry. I think we only just unlocked them, which is why. But you'll see that I do have quite a number of courthouses around the place. Not that I couldn't use more, but I realized that I wasn't at my cap just yet. And I had bigger fish to fry. I had a world to conquer. Anyway. So if we look through this mission tree right here, you will see here, this one here is where you get the personal union restoration on Portugal. That's this one right here, which allowed us to do that. If we scroll down in the province history, I'm sure you will see it. Yep, there it is, 1489 to 1493. So pretty early on, that was our little war there. And then over on Austria, 1564 and 1565. And we were able to take that with... we did get a coalition for that one, but it didn't actually end up firing. And it also wasn't it was also a relatively small coalition until we really started getting all of the Low Countries. That's when it really started getting large. It was pretty much every single nation in this square here. And we actually fired that coalition because, again, I really wanted to dismantle the Holy Roman Empire, so I actually chose to fire that coalition. There was, a couple million casualties, no big deal. I did take some screenshots of it as well. If you'd like to check out my Discord, link in the description down below. I do often post screenshots, etc., of various different EU4 runs that I'm doing. And keeping you guys updated and posted. Or obviously I do also stream most of these runs on twitch.tv/TwinsPlayTekkit. I do often play them off stream as well because I don't know, I'm just addicted to EU4 or something. Maybe I shouldn't for the ones that I'm streaming, but I do anyway. So Plus also, to be fair, there is often boring sections in these achievement runs where I'm just waiting for certain things to happen, and I do think it's kind of nice if I do those just kind of off camera, and just kind of wait for certain things to fire, like certain mission events. Perhaps I'm waiting for an institution or something, or I'm just like consolidating my country and just kind of waiting for the next thing to happen. After we have Aragon and Portugal, that's when we get this mission right here, which is the Crown of Austria. So they have to have a smaller army, less development, and we also have to have either lots of power projection or be a great power, and that gives us the personal union restoration on them as well too, which we really want for this particular mission here. And then we just kind of follow down here. So this one right here, the Italian conquest, that's definitely one of the hardest ones to get, because you need all of this land, and obviously this is incredibly rich land. So as well as Siena was also still in the Holy Roman Empire at the time, but I mean, just look at how rich this is. Just delicious. But as a result of that, it's also incredibly expensive to take. So definitely one of the harder parts was getting to that Italian conquests. Then we need the Spanish road achievement. That one's pretty easy. Just literally just make 50 transports. You'll probably be making that much anyway, if you don't want to do all the mill access stuff. And then the Spanish Netherlands is also definitely a pretty slow mission to get, because obviously you need all this, which once again, I mean, just look at the development on these provinces there. It's like 30 plus development on every single one almost. Obviously a few exceptions, but there's probably about 300-400 development just in these provinces here alone. Which was very expensive, aggressive expansion wise. I mean, just look at that map mode. And that was pretty much everyone that we fought as well too. So that was probably the hardest kind of mission line there, I would say, in terms of conquest. And then the other annoying one was the silver trade down here, which is where we need 10 provinces producing gold to have at least 10 diplo or production development. So what we primarily did is we went over here and just started deving up all of these provinces. As you can see here, obviously the problem with doing this is that there is a chance that the gold mine collapses every month, which is very, very annoying when you're trying to do the achievement, especially because you need 10 of them. And as you can see here from this one being only 5 development, this is actually the second time that this gold mine has collapsed, because the first time was when I was still trying to get the mission. In fact, it was actually one of the last ones that I completed. So, regarding what I mentioned earlier about the subject vassals, particularly when it comes to these missions here, as well as the Viceroyalty of New Spain, Colonies California, Fortify Florida, native reductions, etc. These missions are the ones in which you need to annex Portugal for, because again, the colonial nation of your subject does not count as owned by Spain or its subjects. So if you see there, owned by Spain or its non-tributary subjects, owned by Spain or its non-tributary subjects, etc., that does not count colonial nations, importantly. And so because of that, you do have to annex Portugal eventually. So like I said, what I would just suggest doing is just waiting until you've pretty much filled out the New World and then annexing them then. Because then their usefulness has somewhat expired. Now, interestingly enough, you may notice that we are actually still Catholic. The reason for this is because we are playing as Spain. As you can see here, the Reformation is quite weak, and that is definitely at least partially our responsibility for doing that. But that being said, the reason is actually because playing as Spain in particular, as well as some other countries, but Spain is definitely one of the most notable ones because of this one right here. You can, as well as its relative size, you can actually get an incredible amount of papal influence. So as you can see here, we are making 17.17 papal influence a month. That is obviously because we're also allied to the Pope, but look, we don't even have 200 relations with him, and we're still making that much. On top of that, obviously, every time you convert a heretic province, you do also get a bit of papal influence. Actually, I think it might be heathen as well too, but I know it's definitely heretics at least. And so because of that, we are permanently able to run all of these modifiers. And there is actually some pretty good modifiers in here. So we've got our yearly inflation reduction, interest per annum, and yearly corruption. This one in particular is really good for the yearly inflation because early on, La Mancha serves as a very primary source of all of our income. Obviously, I've kind of let it expire here, but it is still making us a solid 16 ducats a month, which is quite impressive. You'll also notice that all of our subjects are giving us an incredible amount of gold shipments as well too. We got 700 ducats there, about 200 ducats there, 200 ducats there, and 200 ducats there, 200 ducats there, about 1,000 ducats from New Spain, and another 200 ducats from there. And that is because we have quite a number of bonuses, specifically one of them being El Escorial. We also have, where is it? Oh, that's right. It's our naval, where is it? Our naval, unique naval doctrine, which is the Grand Armada, as well as having the Grand Empire modifier. And that gives us plus about 95% treasure fleet income, which is incredible. But on top of that, it does give you a lot of inflation. So on top of that, we've got construction cost and national tax modifier, which is early, which is really good early. Obviously, it doesn't really matter as much anymore because we make 700 ducats a month, but very good early. Recovery speed maintenance modifier also solid 10% morale of armies, which is quite nice. Year legitimacy, improved relations, reputation, annexation costs, and importantly, permanent +3 stability. Very, very lovely. I love having +3 stability all the time. So nice. I think it's probably one of the best things about being Catholic is the ability to be at permanent +3 stability, as well as again probably that 10% morale of armies is really sweet as well too. But you'll look here, you'll see that our diplomatic reputation is doing pretty well. We're sitting pretty at +9, which made it very easy to annex Portugal. It only took about 30 or 40 years because he was massive. But yeah, so overall, I'd say that was probably most of the things of note. A lot of these ones are pretty easy, to be honest. It was really just Italy, the Low Countries. Getting Austria was actually not difficult, but it definitely could be. Even though it was quite a large Austria, their army's just not very strong. They did go for defensive and then quality and then offensive, but obviously they've already grabbed, I think they did have defensive. I think they only had a couple ideas in quality though. And obviously we already had a pretty significant numerical advantage. Plus, we're a player, so, we did get our +1 artillery fire, our discipline, our morale. We have a pretty strong, naval ideas here. And I think that is definitely a pretty powerful part of Spain is definitely their national ideas, especially that 15% morale, 5% discipline, and +1 artillery fire. This is an incredible late game set of modifiers here. And it's really, you're able to just really blast through a lot of armies, even though you're not going early mill ideas. By the time you get to that third group, you're really starting to blow past people. Obviously, we did just declare on 3 of the GPs. That's just for the No Country for Old Tercios. We would have been able to do it a lot sooner, but I just wasn't really prioritizing it. And then all I did was I just, decked 3 humiliation wars, jumped right onto their capital straight away, blew the walls open, and then there was no trouble. The Ottomans themselves are already pretty actively collapsing, as you can see. They've got a lot of issues with decadence and a lot of issues with rebels, which annoyingly are coming into Austria now as well too. They're making it our problem for some reason with what's that? Almost 90,000 rebels. I think that's about 87,000. So of course they're making that our problem. But anyway, just wanted to show you guys this latest EU4 achievement videos. I do actually already have another one planned, which I've completed, and I will be uploading shortly. No spoilers what it is, of course. You would know if you headed over to twitch.tv/twinsplayticket to check out what I have been playing recently. Obviously, as usual, when this video goes up live, when this video uploads and goes live, I will also be live over on twitch.tv/twinflaytaggart. So feel free to come over and check me out. We'll probably be doing our Christian Japan run, which we are getting very close to being Christian on. But anyway, until then, I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Peace.